Hey everybody, I wanted to do a video here. I've got some requests to do some field strip on some of my firearms and some cleaning videos. So I figured I'd put together a series of videos. I went out to the range today, probably fired 800 and 900 rounds through several different guns, several different calibers. So I figured this is a perfect time to clean them and put it on video. You may get a little bit bored. I tend to clean my handguns very meticulously, basically bring them back to new in box condition every time I go out shooting. So feel free to fast forward or move on to the next video. I figure if you found my video, either you may be new to firearms and want to see how different people clean their handguns, or maybe you just want to see a field strip of, you know, Colt single action or a Beretta or a 1911. And see how that's done. So either way, feel free to comment. I have a specific way I've been cleaning guns for, I don't know, 25 years. So some people get upset. I've seen some other cleaning videos where people are saying, oh, you're not wearing rubber gloves, some of those chemicals are toxic, blah, blah, blah. Obviously, I don't really prescribe to that. I understand they're toxic. I'm not going to be drinking it, and I try not to inhale it. But at the same time, I wipe my hands off, and after I clean each gun, I wash my hands and start on another one. So I'm not too worried on the toxicity aspect. So I'm just going to show you. This one's going to be the field strip takedown and cleaning of the 1911A1 Colt reissue, the World War II version. If you've seen any of my other videos, you've seen a close-up look of this firearm. Probably put about 200 rounds through this one today. I rarely take it out, and when I do, I tend to put a couple hundred rounds through it. Obviously, it functioned flawlessly. So we'll get started. I'll show you some of the techniques I use and what I've been doing for 25 years. So feel free to critique, or maybe I'll give you some ideas on how to clean your guns. So obviously, first thing you want to do, and I already know these are all unloaded, but just for video's sake, remove the magazine. There's nothing in it. And then you want to check, make sure there's nothing inside. Nope, this gun's clear. So the first thing I'm going to do, and there's different ways of field stripping in 1911. This is just my way. The slide stop is also basically the takedown lever, if you want to use modern terms. There are two stops on a 1911. There's one notch in the slide. It's kind of hard to get an angle on this camera. There's one notch here, a small notch, and then there's a larger notch. The larger notch is the slide stop. The smaller notch is where you want to hit to take down the firearm. And the first thing I'll do on this one, and this isn't maybe not in the correct military order, but this is the way I do it. So first thing I'm going to do is take off the tension from the spring here. There's the barrel lug right here, and all I did with that was, I'll just try to show you close up. There are two ways to revolve this barrel lug. There is clockwise and there's counterclockwise. Counterclockwise has a catch, and that's how you actually remove the lug. And clockwise, it'll let you rotate it even further, so you can let this the spring come out a bit. So let me see if I can show you this here. Press down on the spring, slide the lock on top of it, make sure to hold pressure because this thing is under pressure. So there you go, this just slid over, spring's open. Now if I go the other way, counterclockwise, it'll stop. Whereas this way I've got a lot more clockwise, I've got a lot more leeway to clear the spring. So I'm going to go, after I've gone clockwise to let the tension out here, I'm going to go counterclockwise between the spring, and that will allow me to take out the lug. So I'm going to take that out. Now what I'm going to do is push the slide back to the takedown notch, you can see here. And what I'm going to do is press on the opposite side of the frame. If you can see, there's the actual pin that goes through the bolt. So I'm going to go ahead and move it to that second smaller notch, press out a little bit, and then I'm going to lift the lock out right there, the slide stop. Now that will let me take the slide off. I'm going to put that aside for a second. Take this piece off, and then I'm going to pull the spring back through the frame, and it's clearly dirty. Then I'm going to push the Unlike Glocks and things like that where you can take the barrel, lift it up and out, this one you can't really do that. So what you do is just slide the barrel along with the mechanism right through the front of the frame. So now this is just a basic field strip. I'm not going through the grips. I'm not going to mess around with any of the real internals here other than cleaning the inside. I'm just going to see if you can see through there. It's probably not enough light. See if you can see it's dirty in there. I like to get my barrels back almost to a mirror shine, so I'll show you how I do that. Let me just take a look real quick, see how dirty it is. Yeah, it's pretty dirty. Obviously, 200 rounds. I doubt you'll be able to see all the grit and grime. I'm trying to get the right angle here. It's not that easy looking through a camera. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to take Hoppies. This is a number 9 solvent, and this is to clean the bore, and it also prevents rust. What I like to do with this first is take, obviously a good brass kit, cleaning kit is essential. So I've already assembled this. And you may look at this and say, what the heck kind of a copper cleaning rod or brass cleaning rod is that? It looks a little big for a 45 ACP. It is. This is the 410 shotgun cleaning rod, cleaning brush. And people may freak out, but I've been doing this for 20 some years. I tend to go one caliber above in cleaning rod. Whenever you go through the barrel, I just find that it gets a lot more of the grit and grime, loosens up a lot in the cracks in the rifling. So that's what I do. I'll dip it in the solvent, run it through here, back and forth a few times, and then I'll let it sit. So let me just dip it in here, get a good amount, move my other parts away because I don't want this on anything else. I'll use something different for the rest of the frame. And then I'm going to go along with the rifling. I'm going to guide through the first time because right now the inside is dry, and once it becomes a little more lubricated, it will be a lot easier to clean. So I'm going to go use this. This is just brass. This barrel is obviously steel, so the brass won't scratch the steel, even though it seems like it, and it seems like it's a lot of pressure. But so I'm going to use this solvent, go back and forth through the barrel a few times, try to get all the grit and grime out. That's good enough. So I'm going to let this sit for a second and let the solvent do its job. In the meantime, I'm going to detach this end. I'm going to get some patches ready because we're going to go through that pretty well. So I'll take another rag here, and I'll usually just wipe down the spring here. Make sure it's clean. I usually take a Q-tip, and some people freak out with Q-tips, but again, I've been using them for years, and you just make sure that you don't get, you know, Q-tip ends caught anywhere. But I'll just go inside here and get some of the, there's just a little bit of gunpowder residue in there, not too much. You don't get too much fouling here unless you haven't cleaned in a long time, or you fired a whole bunch of ammunition through. It'll usually just be a little bit dirty. And that will pretty much do it for the spring. While the solvent's working, I usually just go around the other parts, clean off anything on them, and I'll show you my second stage. My first stage is just getting some of the surface stuff off. The second stage, I'll use Ballistol and spray all these parts down really well, and then wipe them down with a microfiber cloth to get any of the residue off of it. I mean, Ballistol works so well. I just started using that a while back. I've been using Hoppies for a long time, and while it lubricates, it doesn't really clean too well. So I figured, let me try Ballistol. Everybody else rants and raves about it, and honestly, it's the best stuff. I'm not going back to anything else. I'll even use Ballistol through the barrel once I run a few patches through with the solvent. Now I'll take this piece and just rub the exterior down. Take another Q-tip. I should buy stock in Q-tips. I use so many while cleaning. there's a lot of residue inside of here. You can see here from the Q-tip. This is just from maybe a couple hundred rounds, and it was perfectly clean when I took it out, so definitely want to make sure this is clean. And finally the lug here, this gets a little bit dirty, and the inside of the lug gets dirty as well. Yeah, see? And once I spray it down with ballast, I'll do this one more time after I let the ballast kind of work its way in. Okay, that's good for now. Now what I'll do is run a few patches through the barrel that's had the Hoppy's solvent in it. Depending on the caliber, I'll use different quantities of patches. Here I'll just use probably 2 for right now, and then I may move up to 3. So I'm going to go again with the rifling. I don't think you'll have too much of a problem if you go against the rifling, but as you can see, solvents worked pretty well, starting to take some of the grime off the inside of the rifling, inside of the barrel. So that's pretty good. I'll usually swap the patches like that so I can double up, or else you'll go through thousands of patches. I'll just do this one more time, and then I'm going to move to ballastol. This time I'm going to go against the rifling this way. And I got some of it up some more. Alright, now comes the second stage of the barrel portion. I've got my ballastol here. This is the aerosol version. It works really well. I like the aerosol a bit better than the spray version. This just seems to work a bit better. So I'm going to apply it liberally, since you can't really hurt anything with ballastol, honestly. Basically going to hose it down here. I'm going to get inside the barrel, in the mechanism there. Now I know that's a lot of ballastol, and people will probably say, oh my god, what are you doing? But ballastol's a good product. So I'm also going to spray down these other small parts and let them soak for a little bit. It looks like a lot, but I'm going to wipe it down. This isn't going to sit like this. This is just going to break up some of the nastiness, residue that's still left over. So, okay. Now I'll move on to the frame here. And the frame, obviously, the internal parts here, you want to get back here. The extractor is. This is where most of the real cleaning comes into play, and where Q-tips really work well, at least in my opinion. Down here, right where the cartridge is, the feed ramp area, I mean, look at how black that is. And again, this was perfectly clean before firing, so you can see why, if you go out often, if you go shooting often, you definitely want to keep these things pretty clean. This gun's never malfunctioned. I probably put, I don't know, 3,000 rounds through it, and I've not had a failure to feed or a stovepipe or anything like that. And I think some of that is the normal cleaning and getting everything right. Some of it is also that it's a Colt and it's just well made anyway, in my opinion. I definitely want to get in the rails here, get any grime that's in these rails, if you can see here. Back up here in all these little areas. Some guns have a lot more crevices and things where grit and grime basically live. So the feed ramp, I'm just looking here. I'll usually use a flashlight too. That's how bad I am sometimes with my cleaning methods. I really want to make sure everything is absolutely perfect. And I'll use a flashlight to look inside the grip area, see if I can get some of the grime off. This area is not too bad, actually. Back here it gets a little bit nasty, yeah. And again, with Q-tips, they work really well. Just make sure that you know, you're not leaving any Q-tip behind whenever you do these things. Like I see a little fiber right here. I'll take it off. And what I'm going to do with this, after I get the first initial amount of junk off of it, off the frame, I'm going to hit it with Ballistol and soak it down, and then go back on it, probably with a cloth this time. Back here usually gets pretty nasty too. Just get some of the surface stuff off here. And then I'll use some Ballistol on it, let it soak for a second, and then I'll go back to the barrel. So let me hit this with some Ballistol. Also on the frame too, because this will basically take care of any of the residue that's left over, and I'll get it good because I'll wipe it down later. And this is good on grips on everything. So I'm going to let this soak for a minute. Wipe my hands off with my other towel. And now, since I've had these parts soaking for a little bit, I'm just going to take my cloth and wipe them down, get any excess Ballistol off of it, and then I'm going to run another Q-tip on the inside. Yep, there's a little bit more that's coming out. Just get the rest of that there. And that's good. I'm going to set that aside. Barrel lug here. Excess oils off. And then run a Q-tip on the inside again. Yeah, some's coming off. A little bit more. And I think that is good. Let's take the slide stop pin that's been sprayed down. Wipe that down a bit. This cloth may look like it's really dirty, but these go through the washer and rinser. So it looks dirty, but it's really not. Definitely don't want to use a real old cloth whenever you clean guns a lot, because you're just basically replacing residue with residue. Okay, so this piece is good. Now let's go back to the barrel and get some more patches here. And this time I'm going to use 3 patches. This barrel's been soaking in Ballistol, the interior and the exterior. So give it a little tap and then slowly go down the barrel. And look at how much extra the Ballistol just got back up. That's pretty good. Now I'm going to go against the rifling. This one gets a little tricky because the barrel's not perfectly symmetrical. The feed ramp kind of makes it tricky. And there's some more that came out. And then I'm going to rotate the patch here and go back against the with the rifling one more time. Then I'm going to check to see if I can see any material in there. I'm going to wipe down the barrel with this rag. Get the excess Ballistol off. Make sure there's no junk in the barrel linkage here. Make sure all these parts are pretty well clean. A lot of times you'll get a lot of fouling up in here in the locking area of the barrel, and obviously the end of the barrel here. Alright, let me take a look through the light. I still see a little bit in some of the lands and grooves. It's probably going to be impossible to catch on video, but what I'm going to do now is soak a couple patches in Ballistol. This time I'm going to go for 4. Let's see how well this works. Sometimes I get a little overzealous with the amount of patches I use. Soak that down with Ballistol. Let's go with the rifling. This may not want to go in, but yeah, there we go. Yep, it worked. Good. This should get anything else. See, it still picked up what I was seeing through the light. And it's really difficult to get these absolutely perfect so you get absolutely no residue on the patches That would take me a lot of patches, but I want to get it mirror-like on the inside so that I'm satisfied that it's pretty well cleaned. Inside the barrel lug there. Alright, let's take another look through now that I just ran 4 patches. Feed ramp looks clean. That's much better. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see this. Probably not. It's hard to get the right angle here. There's not enough light coming from the back. I should have gotten a flashlight with me. But I'm going to run it one more time, spray down this side of it with Ballistol. I'm going to spray down into the barrel a bit. And I'm going to run this through. Hopefully this will be just about clean. We'll see. I could use a bore snake. I've never used those before. I may pick some up at the next gun show, but yeah, that's even better. There's just some residue. It looks like there's a lot more, but there's only really 2 or 3 little lines there. Other than that, it's pretty well mirror-like. Let me just take a Q-tip right here. That was dirty. I don't think I saw very much right here, but if anything, there's barely anything left in this barrel. So, finally, I'm going to run a little patch, run a couple patches with just a little spray of Ballistol to finish off the barrel here. This ought to just protect the inside and give it one more little run through. Yeah, on that patch there's really nothing. I'm going to go against the rifling this way. And I think we're good on the barrel. So we got the barrel done. Now what I'm going to do is use my microfiber cloth, and I'm just going to wipe down the frame, get the excess Ballistol off, and I'll usually give it one more hit of Ballistol after I reassemble. Again, this stuff just works so well. Gets the finish perfect, protects all the wood. I didn't know about it until, I don't know, Hickok 45 has a few videos with it, but for some reason it didn't really hit me that, you know, I should give this stuff a try until a little later. And now that I have, I'm really glad I did. I can't say how well this stuff works. I'm going to take my somewhat dirty rag in here. I don't want to get too much residue on my microfiber towel. I usually use that just to get the final clean, the final wipe down. This one here, I want to make sure this is the feed ramp area right down here, and this can get a bit crummy. So I want to make sure that's wiped down, the rails are good. Towards the hammer, the extractor. I'm probably using incorrect terminology, so don't freak out on me. Let's see, I think that's pretty good. Back here gets a little bit nasty. Now what I'll do is just take another Q-tip and get in here into the smaller areas, see if I can get anything out, if there's any more residue. I don't think there's very much. Inside the frame there's a bit in there. And then back down the rails because I had Ballistol in them, so it should pull up any other junk that was down there. Grab some more Q-tips here. Back down the rails. And that should do it. Back here. That's pretty dirty back there. We run a couple more Q-tips back in here. That's looking better. Yeah, the feed area is perfectly smooth. I can't feel any issues there. If there were issues or I could see some lead fouling, I usually use jacketed bullets so I don't get too much lead fouling. If you have lead fouling, obviously use a brush to knock down the lead. There'll be a lot. I've got my 38 Smith & Wesson 38 over there that was shooting some lead, and I've got my single action Army that was shooting lead, so that's going to be pretty nasty. So that's looking pretty good. I think the inside part of the frame is pretty well done. Now the fun part is the slide. This part can get a bit tricky. This is where Q-tips really come in handy. There's a lot of grit back here. Usually what I'll do with this is I'll hit it with ballistol first to loosen it up. I know some people freak out, oh, you're getting oil in the firing pin mechanism and blah blah blah. Been doing it for years, cleaning 1911s with lots of oil, not ballistol, because I haven't really used it that often, but I've been using other oils and things, and it hasn't really bothered me. Obviously with my Glocks in Springfield, you don't want the inner channel of the striker fire mechanism to get all that oiled up. In fact, I think they actually recommend that you do not use oil there. So with my Glock in Springfield, I don't put any oil. I don't oil it like I do my 1911 or my revolvers or anything like that. I don't oil them down as much near the striker mechanism or the firing pin. So just a word there. Now inside here where the firing pin is I will use not a brass. This is just a, I don't even know what this material is, but it's not brass. I just want to get in there, and you get a lot of residue back here. And just because this is the World War II Colt reissue, I don't really want to use brass. I don't know why. I don't want it to affect any of the bluing. I don't think it does because I use it on my Beretta all the time and the bluing is still intact, but I don't know. This one, for some reason, I'm just a little bit hesitant on this model since there's only, I don't know, I think they produce 3,000 of these worldwide, so I'm just a little hesitant to really mess with this too much in terms of using different types of cleaners or using brass on the frame, which obviously I don't think you want to do. Brass won't harm steel, but that doesn't mean it won't take off a finish. So keep that in mind if you're using brass brushes on any part of your frame. I probably wouldn't do that. It's safe to use inside the barrel and the face of the firing pin area, usually on most guns, but obviously exterior, things like that, you don't want to use. I don't think you want to use brass there. So, alright, let me wipe this down with my regular cloth since there's all kinds of gunk on the slide, especially down here at the end of the barrel, obviously. So I just want to get the residue off of here, and then I'll, at the last moment after I reassemble, I'll spray this down again with ballistol, let it sit for a second or a couple minutes, and then I'll use my microfiber cloth to wipe it down. So this one I'm just using to take off any of the ammo residue, powder residue, anything from the jacketed bullets that's left behind, and get a wipe down. Now on the inside, I'll go back to my trusty Q-tips, grab some more here. The inside, I soaked it with ballistol, so I'm just going to go on the inside of the rails here. You're going to see a whole lot of junk come up. Yeah, it's pretty well black. This will be too right here. That's a whole lot. So as you can see, you go through a lot of Q-tips. Let me get back here, and then on the clean side of the Q-tip, on the inside of the frame, or on the inside of the slide where it rides in the frame or on the frame, actually on the frame. This isn't a CZ or anything. I want to get in there, make sure that's got enough ballastol, lubricant in there, and is also free of debris. And it is. Also inside here, inside the slide, I don't know if you can see, you got the area where the barrel locks in right up here, and there's crevices, so you want to make sure you get in there and clear out any residue. And I'll just run the inside of the slide with this Q-tip and the inside part here. Surprisingly, this area doesn't get all that dirty up here. I guess not surprisingly, because cartridge is further back, so it's only really the face of the slide that gets really nasty, and the area inside the slide and inside the frame, right where the cartridges are being loaded and obviously being fired, you get a lot of residue back there. Yeah, that's a whole bunch. It's still pretty dirty. What I'll usually do if it's still dirty like that is I'll take the rag and get in there and really wipe it down. Oh, I got some of it out. And then I'll use Q-tip again back in here. This is just consistently dirty, and it takes a lot of Q-tips to get it clean. I want to go all the way back on the slide, back towards the firing pin area. I just like to hit every spot, get up any residue you possibly can. And then I want to get in here where I use the brush and use a Q-tip try to get anything else I possibly can off the face of the slide here, firing pin area. This gets pretty dirty. And I think just a little bit of residue, but it's pretty well taken care of now. I'm probably going to end up going out this weekend as well, so I'll be cleaning this again, second time in a couple days, but I don't like to not clean these things, especially one like this where it's hard to find, so if I let something happen to this, I'm kind of out of luck. They don't come up for sale too often, and when they do, they get a bit expensive. That's pretty good. Still some residue I can see here in the light. And again, this is usually where I'd have a flashlight looking through here. I'm a bit crazy about this, but that's pretty good. So let me wipe the slide down again, and then we will reassemble and spray it down one more time with ballastol for a final farewell till next time, and make sure it's well oiled. Okay. So, reassembly. This is where it gets fun. First thing I'm going to do, and again, this may be out of order, you know, some people may say, well, it's not according to the military field manual, but it's the way I do it, and some of it is trial and error. I don't shoot this that often, so I may need to do this a couple times, try to get my memory back. So first I'm going to slide the barrel back in. Now I'm going to insert the spring. Keeping the lug, I keep the lug down. I think that's the way you do it. If you can see here, this lug on the barrel swings up and swings down. So I keep it down, and if you notice on the spring, this has a certain direction. You can see here there's kind of a U-shape cut out. The U-shape obviously rides in the barrel, on the barrel, so that'll go back down through. Now what I'll do is take the frame and slide it back on. And I think technically I can probably put this back in. These need to line up. If you look through here, and I'm sure the light's not perfect, but if you look through the hole here, you will see the barrel lug, and you want to make sure that's lined up. This is where you can get the idiot scratch on a 1911 if you don't know what that is. And I've got the faintest tiny one here. I've always tried to avoid it, and there's some tools you can buy online. There's a very faint little line. The idiot scratch is whenever you put the carrier through here and you don't line it up perfectly, and you try to press down, and you kind of press up and you scratch right up against the frame. So I don't want to do that. So what I'm going to do is hold it here, slide the frame back a little bit, and I'm going to push straight down. There you go. And that did not create any scratch. I didn't go back down here, let it swing down here and press up. So now that that's in, I'm going to pull the slide up a bit, insert the lug, swivel it clockwise so I can get this past. I'm going to press down, obviously keeping pressure. You don't want to let this go. Swing the lug back the other way, counterclockwise, and there you go. There's the 1911 back in order. And now what I'll do, keep it open and do a final hose down. And seriously, this seems weird, but this ballistol works like a charm. It hasn't hurt any of my guns. I'm not afraid of it in the 1911 mechanisms. I mean, these things came from Colt back in World War II, and what's that grease? I forgot even the name of it. Just packed in grease. So ballistol I don't think will hurt it. And usually what I do with magazines, this is an old mag, if I've been shooting a lot, I may spray this down or oil it. I usually don't, you don't really want oil inside the springs, but I like to just wipe down the magazines. A lot of times you'll get a lot of fouling on the inside here, a lot of residue left over. So I usually just wipe these down a little bit and make sure they're ready to go for the next time I head out. I'm going to let that sit for a minute, and I usually keep my 1911 without the magazine in, but load it up with some hollow points in the magazine in case I need to ever grab it. So I'm just going to load up this mag and put it off to the side. So I'm basically ready to put this away once the ballistol seeps in a bit. That's probably good enough. So what I'll do is, since I sprayed the barrel down a little bit, I'm going to work the slide, make sure everything's lubed up, and I'm going to use my microfiber towel here to get the excess amount off. And this ballistol, seriously, I can't tell you how good it is. I mean, it brings your guns back to new in box, probably even better than it left the factory. The all of the bluing comes right back. It removes all the junk that you didn't even think was on the outside of the frame. It removes all of it, and it also lubricates and protects against rust. So it's definitely something you want, or consider it whenever you're looking for cleaning supplies. I would definitely consider it. It's a bit hard to find, but certain areas I think you can find it a bit easier. And it's just about done here. I'm going to leave it with a little bit of sheen, because I probably won't take it out this coming weekend. So I kind of want to have not too much of it gone, just worked in a bit. Get any of the other cloth remnants off. And there it is. Colt 1911A1 World War II reissue. Field stripped, cleaned, and now ready to go back into the safe. Until next time. Thanks for watching.